All right, we're continuing our discussion. Bill made a couple of good points during the break. Why don't you just
Well, we were going to talk about what is the effect of the baseball park. We've heard complaints that, well, people come to the baseball park and there's only so many dollars. Most of the people at the baseball park are local people. Of course, people are coming from distant places or they're visiting, but most of the people are Escambia, Santa Rosa County. You just got to assume that they're not coming great distances. And one argument is, well, there is a very limited amount of entertainment dollars, and if you go to the ballpark and you buy hot dogs and all of that, the prices to get into the ballpark aren't high. The prices for the concessions are not cheap, but not major league standards. But if you're on a limited entertainment budget, you might blow that at the ballpark and not go to a restaurant. That's one argument. Another argument is that it is such a nice attraction that some people trying to decide whether to relocate themselves or their businesses, you know, there's city A, B, C. Well, I really like Pensacola because that ballpark is really fun. In fact, I'm looking forward to the baseball season because I'm one of the many people who really enjoys going to baseball games.
I think it's a good point. It could have a positive economic effect. And we hope it does. How could you not hope it will be positive for the community? What kind of person would be wishing for doom and gloom? It's just that it needs to be objectively evaluated. And one of the things that we hope we can do in the course of this program is to talk about, well, who made all the money? Who got the fees? Consultant fees, processing fees, loan application fees, loan fees, new market tax credit fees, these fees. They blew $2.5 million on an incompetent developer.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's so much money that was wasted here that we as taxpayers, we ought not to just say, well, okay, let's move on. Let's move on. It's too bad. Let's move on. No, we're not going to move on. I don't think we should move on. We should know, how did the city council fall asleep during this entire process? What was the city manager doing during this entire process where this thing just went downhill like 90 miles an hour? The city council directly got involved and micromanaged and screwed around hiring this developer. They did it. They're responsible for it. Well, what did it cost us? Well, the answer is, I think it's in the millions and millions of dollars. And I'm back to this. We put all of our eggs in this basket for economic development downtown. You're talking about all your borrowing power. Everything was committed to this, but nobody started off saying, you know, we're going to commit every dime we can to this economic development project. It didn't do that. It just kind of grew, and other people kind of pitched in, and they constantly it was musical chairs. You had different people involved, different people getting fired, and on and on and on and on. We ended up with this marvelous facility. Now the question is, truly, what's going to happen? You could have built a baseball park for less, for sure. And a lot of this cost down there was remediation of the site, you know, because of the pollution, the pollution through the years. So the site had to be remediated. That's where a lot of the money went, or a good part of the money went. We want to be fair about it. But I do think that the subject deserves a continuous discussion because the day of reckoning is coming on this ballpark. And as a community, we need more and more citizens informed, and we need less and less blue sky from the people who are benefiting by this short term. We need hard questions being asked by informed people. And we hope to accomplish some of that and to be fair about it, hopefully.
And I think the overarching thing about a lot of this, and one of the reasons I'm so much in favor of smaller government, is government does all kinds of things that sound good. Well, here's a poor area. And what we're going to do is we're going to put money into the poor area so it can be developed, so there'll be jobs for poor people, and people's lives will be better. And there are so many ways to game those things.
There are.
Well, we're going to put my little space inside. As a politician, this is going to be inside the poor area, and then I'm going to get all kinds of tax breaks for me because I'm living in a poor area. Or, like you said, some of the fees that go to people doing bonds and those other things.
This is a feast better than the best Thanksgiving anybody could imagine in this business. That is tons of fees. when we get the final fee numbers, we're going to post them on our website and we'll cover them on the air. Who got all this money? Because every penny that goes out in fees, some of it's required. Okay, you have registration fees, issuance, bond issuance fees.
You can't issue bonds without incurring costs.
You've got to pay costs, but these are very expensive propositions to issue bonds and create debt this way for purposes of construction. And so you lose a lot of money from the cap of your debt to the disposable use of the funds. There's a big, big margin there. And the question is, who got all that money? And we ought to know as a community.
Was there an alternative? Who's paying attention to it?
Who was paying attention to it?
Because in politics, a lot of times, they care. Not all politicians, and certainly I don't think the city council is necessarily any worse than anybody else, but a lot of times you see so-and-so's friend got this really lucrative deal, and you wonder if who they're looking out for.
It's a problem with government. You know, I've traveled some in some countries where corruption is pervasive. Oh. I've talked with people about the corruption in their countries, and they're well aware of the pervasive nature of corruption. And corruption is pervasive because it's endemic to human nature. And in this country, it's a little bit more subtle and a little more concealed.
It is.
And not as quite as overt, handing somebody $5 to, you know, get your ticket fixed or whatever. Here we're much more sophisticated. But we're the same human race, and we have pervasive corruption, and it finds its way in and out of government because there's so much money. That's what kills me about these conservative businessmen. They're the first ones in line for government deals, government contracts, government benefits. They're the first ones, and then they want to scream and holler about how conservative they are.
Tons of corporate welfare, all kind of corporate welfare.
There's a good book that's just been written. Oh, it's The Subsidizing of America. I say good book. I heard a summary of it, and then I read a brief recap of the book. We'll cover that again, The Subsidizing of America, that talks about all of the areas in which corporations have gamed the system. What you were talking about earlier.
It happens all the time.
To get the money.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, the ethanol subsidy, the farm subsidies, handing out loads of money to people to grow or not grow crops. Well, I mean, why don't we have a free market in that area?
It's interesting. The people who are the entrepreneurs, or the self-claimed entrepreneurs, and the free enterprise people, a lot of them, not a terrible generalization, but a lot of them are quite quick to get in the government line, okay? With whatever their government deal is, their special tax deal, their special benefits, their inside deals on contracts. I mean, it's disgusting. It's like, don't tell us how conservative you are. Just spare us that. Okay, you get to say whatever else you are, but don't tell us you're conservative and that you believe in the free enterprise system and smaller government.
And it all sounds so good.
It sounds great.
Clean energy. We need to invest in clean energy. Now, who could be against that?
That's a great idea.
Some of the corruption surrounding that, and it goes right to the Obama administration, is abominable.
That's a valid point. You've made it before, and I've agreed with it. I think it.
How about this? A couple of the auto magazines made the Tesla. Tesla came out with a big sedan that's a pure electric car. It's a beautiful car. And they have different prices dependent upon it's this great big. It's got this very fluid, almost voluptuous design because you have more design choices when you have an electric car.
I've seen I've seen the coupe.
It's beautiful.
The small one.
No, the little one was. The little one was just based. That was kind of based on a Lotus car. This is a design from scratch car, and it is a beautiful car. And they've made some great design breakthroughs. It's just that the market really can't support it right now. So every time a rich person, and you got to be pretty well off to buy one of these, they're like $100 grand. Every time somebody buys one, the government helps out with $7,500.
I think it's nice.
It's nice.
A little benefit. You know, everybody should get a little bit.
This car would cost $107,500, but the government's going to kick in a little bit to help you out with it.
But that's fair because the rich people need a break too. I'm giving you the Republican argument because the poor people are getting the Chevy Volt kickback, right?
Yeah, the Chevy Volt isn't. The Chevy Volt's got.
I mean, they're getting the $7,500 though, right?
The argument is that we got to kind of prime the pump, you know, when we get these things going, and they have made great breakthroughs in lots of ways.
They have.
I mean, this Tesla is a very impressive car, The trouble is, there's something galling about people who have to be pretty well off paying $100 grand for a car. We're helping them with $7,500.
You're coming around, you know, really.
Well,
your negative, wealthy stuff, I like. I think you may
but
be.
then you've got.
Well,
let's go to the other side of that equation.
You're backing up.
Tax breaks for the rich.
Yeah, lots of them.
Tax breaks for the rich. Obama has
lots of tax breaks. Yeah,
has repeated that so many times people believe it.
I do too myself.
Tax breaks for the rich?
Oh, I think so, yeah.
Here is the truth of the matter. 2001 and 2003, there were Bush tax cuts. The effect of the Bush tax cuts were the taxes in all the brackets went down. About everybody got a tax cut.
Yes.
It's just lowering the rates.
That's
true. It's a tax cut. It's not a break. And everybody still got that tax cut. But Obama wants to just let that expire for the wealthy. And he labels that now a tax break. They're taking advantage of tax breaks. It's not a tax break. It's a rate that's lower than it was before.
That's just political talk.
Yeah, it's a bunch of crap.
But
now let's see how it works in action. Okay. The Obama drones were out. The ACLU had a bunch of people out with signs. Many of these people could probably read the sign.
No, wait, just wait. I'm going to make sure I got these titles right. The ACLU people are drones.
No, I mean, no, AFL-CIO. The union people.
Yeah.
All the union people were out.
All union people are drones.
They're out there. Well, some of them are. Some of the ones with the signs are union drones. They had signs.
Yeah.
They were picketing. This is on the front page of the PNJ.
Yeah.
Picketing Jeff Miller, saying, don't touch our Social Security, don't touch our Medicare, and in order to pay for tax breaks for the rich.
Yeah.
And you're just dying to go talk to people and say, which tax breaks are you talking about? Tax breaks for the rich. Oh, President Obama said it. Tax breaks for the rich.
Well, if you say it enough times, people start to get it. And see, it's too complicated to talk about nuanced, esoteric loopholes. So you just talk about tax breaks for the rich, and it kind of includes tax rates, and you know.
And it's pretty easy. I mean, he's going to whack away at the top 2%. Now, if you took all the money from the top 2%, you couldn't handle the deficit.
No,
really.
I mean,
it's crazy. It would certainly be some help, some noticeable and substantial help. But what's getting lost in this? So it's so easy for Obama. These people aren't voting for Obama anyway, except the Hollywood celebrities who don't have a lick of sense. They're not voting for him anyway, and they're going to vote for Obama no matter what.
Nobody in Hollywood?
Nobody with any sense.
Okay, good.
In that tax break, it would vote for Obama. It seems to me.
Nobody in what tax break?
In the upper two tax.
They all voted for Obama.
Nobody with any sense. Among the people he was labeling as selfish, not paying your share. You're not paying your share. He was kind of mad about it. He said, you know, you didn't build that. You think you're so smart. There are lots of people who are smart. You got a lot of money, and it's really kind of everybody's money, and we're all in this together, this flawed concept that we've talked about before. Now, what gets lost in this is with a little political courage, you could do things that the economists say are good and lower. You'd raise more taxes. A lot of people would pay more taxes, but you could lower the highest marginal tax rate. How about this? They won't touch. Obama is afraid to touch the home mortgage interest deduction, even insofar as it applies to your second home. You have a home mortgage interest deduction for that.
That's because of the time-honored profession of real estate.
Right. There are so many
We're going to do a special after the first of the year on misleading jargon and jingo from real estate agents, including advertisements about cute and cozy, which usually means a near disaster that needs to be demolished. All right, now I want to ask you a question about that.
A lot of these tax deductions just don't make a lick of sense, and they should be eliminated. They're just gimmicks in the tax code. Let's clean it up. And another thing. If he's successful, the only thing he wants to do is raise the tax rate on the upper 2%. He's going to spend more. This isn't going toward the deficit. He's talking about actually more spending.
I agree.
Nancy Pelosi says, we've already cut $1 trillion. Here's the cut. They have projected a slowing in the rate of increase, which only in Washington is a cut.
I agree.
Really, it's just nonsense.
Why do you always mention Nancy Pelosi? You make me defend her positions.
No, you don't have to defend her.
I mean, if I remain silent, it looks like I agree.
Nancy Pelosi is a wretched person, and most of the policies she espouses make no sense for the country. You could agree to that.
Well, I don't care for her, because I think she's the worst thing that could possibly happen to the Democratic Party. But I want to ask you this question. This is going to embarrass you now. I'm telling you, because I got facts now that are just going to knock you down.
Let's have it.
All right. Did you believe that the government was right in the AIG bailout?
No.
Ah, why?
Why was the government not right in the AIG bailout?
Yeah.
Because these bailouts were contrary to the way the free market works.
Okay.
Let it happen.
What if I told you this?
The government made money on it.
You got it.
Right.
The government made money on the bailout and saved the economy, and Obama was the person that did it.
Tease your way through the accounting.
Huh?
Tease your way through the accounting, and it doesn't always work out that way.
Well, I'll tell you this. They booked a profit. The United States government booked a $30 million profit on the sale of the AIG stock. Now, was it a great deal for the government? No, but the government interceded when they had to. You know, if the AIG...
Yeah, AIG.
The AIG block.
The failure was,
oh my gosh,
AIG was writing insurance policies without anything to back it up, and the regulators let them do it.
They let them do it.
That was the problem. Yeah. They were basically insuring all of these collateral mortgage obligation deals.
They were, and they could hardly wait to do it. And then Michael, what's his name? Guy Lewis, he was selling them short.
Yeah.
I mean, or buying their short position over and over and over again. The Big Short, a great book and talk about. But the point is, Obama saved the car industry, and he saved AIG. So, okay.
Obama did not save the car industry. General Motors went bankrupt. It was a political bankruptcy. It should have been a legal bankruptcy. The result would have been pretty much the same, except the unions wouldn't own the company. Somebody else would own the company. Maybe the shareholders would own the company. Well, the actual shareholders have paid for shares.
I think the bondholders got screwed.
The bondholders got screwed.
Yeah.
The union got benefited.
Yeah.
The result would have been the same. They said, if we let it go to bankruptcy, all of the vendors, all the people who sold it, they all would have gone bankrupt. It was a prepackaged bankruptcy. You can do that. The government. There are arguments either way, and nobody can be 100% sure, and I'm less than sure
but you're giving
about this.
Are you giving me AIG today?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got AIG.
So the government makes a bad bet. Some of the bad bets pay off. So if the government makes a bet, when it pays off, they come out even. When it doesn't pay off, the taxpayers really get screwed. So that doesn't mean the overall scheme is any good.
You agree with me, though. They had to do something about AIG because the rippling effect internationally could have been disastrous.
I wish I knew more about it.
Yeah, well, AIG is not just a little...
AIG was big, and they were
too big to fail, truthfully.
They were insuring these instruments, and they had nothing to back it up.
Well, George W. said they're too big, and here's a great quote, too big to fail. Here's his great quote, this sucker could go down. That was his view. And it wasn't too far.
He might have been right.
He wasn't too far off to fail. So we got AIG, good investment for the government, got a nice return on that. Yeah. And it kind of kills your whole argument.
$30 billion, which is what?
Yeah.
I mean, how long would that keep the government going?
I don't think it was 30 billion.
Wasn't that much?
I thought it was 30 million.
30 million?
I think it was a modest return.
30 million? That wouldn't keep the government going for 30 seconds.
Well, I mean, on the stock sale, I think
we're spending $10 billion a day, this government.
No, I'm talking about the stock benefit to the government.
It was $30 million?
I think it was 31 million. I believe that's the number. I just got that from the... When we come back, we're going to take a short break now. We're going to talk about credit unions. We have a major credit union facility in Pensacola.
They're so friendly.
And
you're going to bash them?
We'll let you find out when we come back. We'll be back here in just a minute.